Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over and discussing the brand new update in Fortnite, update 7.20. Last week, I made a similar video discussing content update 7.10 number 3. And in that video, I claimed that it was probably the biggest and best update of Season 7 so far. In terms of being the best, that may still be the case. However, I can say with 100% certainty that update 7.20 now definitively owns the title of biggest update of Season 7. There's so much important stuff in here, including massive changes to editing, new weapons and items, awesome bug fixes, major changes to snipers, weapon and item rarity adjustments, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get right into breaking all of it down. Alright, so let's start this video off by discussing all of the changes to the way editing works that were implemented in 7.20. This may honestly be the most notable and controversial part of the entire update, so here are all of those changes. First off, building sensitivity now also applies to edit mode. Next, editing will no longer interrupt gunfire and pickaxe swings. And finally, the longest update note, editing a structure will now begin without waiting for a response from the server. This should theoretically cut down on ghost shots before editing and make it a smoother overall experience, confirming the edit will still require sending data to the server and will still be impacted by high ping or poor server performance. So let's go in order and briefly discuss each of these changes because all of them are pretty important, especially the first and the last one. So building sensitivity now also being your editing sensitivity is something we knew was going to be in this update since Epic employees announced it beforehand. Having a custom editing sensitivity was something that people have been wanting for a while now, because it never really made a ton of sense for your aiming sensitivity to also be your editing sensitivity with no option to change it. However, the change that was implemented in 7.20 feels like a somewhat lazy solution to me. I'll admit it, I don't know the first thing about game design, so maybe I'm wrong here, but how hard could it really have been to just give editing sensitivity its own custom slider? What I'm seeing from a lot of people right now that play on controller is that they love their building sensitivity for building, but they don't really like it for editing. There are a lot of people out there that play on something like 8.8 or 9.8 X and Y sensitivity, and then to build even faster made their building sensitivity multiplier something in the 1.7 to 2.0 range. This means that these players have been editing on around 8 sensitivity for the last few months, and now have to learn how to edit with a sensitivity in around the 14 to 18 range. So honestly, for those people, this change, which was intended to make editing easier and better for players, actually ended up making it harder and worse. Now, I'm guessing that over time, we'll all get used at least to some degree to our new editing sensitivities, but I have a feeling that some players are going to be so uncomfortable when they hop on for the first time with this new update that they'll basically be forced to change their building sensitivity. It really brings me back a few seasons ago to when your X and Y sensitivity was both your aiming and your building sensitivity. So you were kind of forced to sacrifice aim for building speed or vice versa. Maybe I'm overreacting a bit here, but the people I saw complaining about this the most were Issa and Camo, who are both pro controller players, so I'll take their word for it. And again, I think the best solution for everybody here would have been a simple editing sensitivity slider. But despite all that, there are major positives with these other editing changes. Editing no longer interrupting gunfire and pickaxe swings is apparently a nice little change for people that play on high ping. Before, you would have to wait for a pickaxe swing to fully finish to begin editing a structure, which would become really awkward when you were lagging or just playing on a really high ping. But now you no longer have to wait for that, so a nice little change there. Speaking of changes geared towards players with high ping, probably the biggest change to editing is the fact that editing a structure will now begin without waiting for a server response. After doing some research, that basically means that now, when you press that button to edit, the editing menu will show up immediately no matter how high your ping is. But the actual edit won't apply until the server confirms it. For example, if you have 130 ping, you'll be able to edit a window window into a wall just like somebody playing on a normal ping would be able to. But the window won't open immediately, it'll be delayed by your ping. In the past, when you went to edit on really bad ping, you'd frequently have the problem of pressing the button to open the edit menu, but it wouldn't open until a few seconds later, which would just absolutely screw up everything. This definitely isn't the perfect solution because your bad ping will still end up hurting you, but it's definitely better now, and this is probably the best that Fortnite could realistically do without making massive changes to their servers. And maybe it's just confirmation bias or a placebo, but editing in general does feel smoother now. So that covers everything in this patch that has to do with editing. Moving on, the next biggest part of 7.20 in my opinion is the addition of the gliders item into the game. This is basically Epic's way of re-adding redeploy, but at the same time making it considerably less powerful. Gliders is a blue rarity item which takes up an inventory spot and grants you the ability to redeploy up to 10 times. This was another feature that was announced before the patch actually released, and initially people were really concerned about it. If you watched my video on the mobility problem in Fortnite, you would know that there's simply already too much mobility in this game. However, I do think that the gliders item in general is fairly balanced. I like the fact that it's only blue rarity because it makes it less RNG based than mobility items like the Rift to Go, Grappler, and Launchpad, and I like the fact that it takes up one of your 5 precious inventory spots because that makes it so that you're almost always sacrificing something to use it. So I definitely don't think that we need any more mobility items in the game right now, especially with planes, but at least this is a fairly balanced addition. Next up, we're going to rapid fire list off all of the changes to weapon and item rarity and briefly discuss the most important ones. Balloons changed from purple to blue rarity, stink bombs also changed from purple to blue rarity, scoped AR changed from blue/purple to green/blue rarity, traps drop chance from floor loot increased from 3.98% to 4.73%, cozy campfire drop chance from floor loot increased from 0.26% to 0.73%. Launchpad drop chance from floor loot increased from 0.53% to 0.98%. And finally, mounted turret drop chance from floor loot decreased from 0.8% to 0.73%. So I really don't like the rarity decrease to the balloons, stink bombs, or scoped AR. I think that balloons and stink bombs are fairly annoying items to deal with, especially in a good player's hands. And purple rarity just always seemed fine to me. And even though the scoped AR is one of the worst weapons in the game, so it kinda does make sense to lower the rarity, but all that does is make them drop more often, which is something that I don't think anybody wants. I think that vaulting the scoped AR would have been a much better choice because there's already so many ARs in this game. I do, however, like all of the adjustments done to the drop chances of all of the other items mentioned in 7.20. But my real question when looking at these percentages is what's the point of rarity if it doesn't determine drop chance? Why does the blue rarity campfire have a 0.26 drop chance while the gold rarity mounted turret has a 0.8% drop chance? It's good to see that they're making the values a little bit more related to rarity now, but why not just make the campfire gold rarity if you're going to give it such a low drop chance? I don't really get the whole purpose of the way they're currently doing it, but maybe that's just me. Snipers also received an interesting little change in 7.20, which could actually end up being a pretty big deal. The bolt-action sniper rifle, suppressed sniper rifle, semi-auto sniper rifle, and hunting rifle now all have the same projectile trajectory as the heavy sniper rifle. Due to the fact that the heavy sniper has the easiest projectile trajectory to hit shots with, a lot of smart people seem to think that this could end up making a mostly irrelevant weapon like the hunting rifle actually pretty powerful. So we'll have to wait and see if that ends up actually being a big deal. Some other notable changes from the update include various improvements to the way ziplines work. Now you can change direction without needing to jump, and rather than moving at max speed as soon as you enter the zipline, you now accelerate over time to reach max speed. There's a nice little quality of life change to building in here as well. Now, in any situation where walls are built mostly underground, an extra piece will be built for free on top of that piece. This will occur whenever the wall is built less than 30% above ground. Also, an adjustment to the minigun, where it overheats after 6 seconds of continuous fire, but now requires a little less wind-up time. Sensitivity now goes to 3 decimal places instead of 2, just for a tad bit extra precision. Vehicle collision and destruction damage will no longer directly be applied to health and will prioritize shield if you have it. And on top of all of that, there are a bunch of other meaningful bug fixes in the update, which deal with things like planes, ziplines, animations, sound, and all of that other good stuff. Plus, there was also a weapon added to the game in this update, the scoped revolver, which comes in purple and gold rarity, but it basically just seems like a bootleg deagle to me. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down the comment section below. I want to know your general thoughts on update 7.20, but specifically, how do you think this update impacted editing? Do you guys feel like your editing sensitivity is way too high now, or do you like the changes and agree that editing is just generally a lot smoother and better now? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.